What does it mean to be the designer in your own life? I have not always been a designer in my life, and chances are neither have you. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. So, what does it mean to be the designer of your life? When I think about designing my life, I think about being a person that trusts their intuition, engages in risk taking, is willing to try and explore new things, is willing to go beyond the grain and step outside of the box and move out beyond the status quo. Designing your life is about controlling your life. But you don't have to have the answers. It's not about having the right solution or the correct pathway to success. It's about enjoying the journey, enjoying the path to your final destination, wherever that may be. And so that is why I say I've not always been a designer in my life, but have learned to become a designer in my life and am better for it. And you can be too. So when I think about being a designer of your life, the first word that comes to mind is wayfinding. And wayfinding is a term used by seamen in terms of navigating their way across the sea to find their next destination. But wayfinding requires a lot of different things. It requires the ability to intuit where you want to go next. You have to navigate the pathways, but also move towards goals and have goalposts that you're guideposts that you're moving towards. And in that way, so is life. When I think about my life, I think about the many epics, the big chapters that that make constitute my life journey, and the stories that unfold within that journey, and how I found my way through those guideposts is a lot of different things. As a child, my guideposts were my parents, my mentors, my teachers. I looked society. I looked towards all these things to formulate my goals, to formulate those markers for where I wanted to be. And even when they went against my intuitions, my inner guide, my inner intuitions. So as a child, I loved crafting. I loved making. I spent so much time um, building and creating things. I had, oh my gosh. So here are the toys that I had that I loved so much that I remember greatly. So if you are watching me on YouTube, you can see in the background here my Speak and Spell. That was my pride and cherished toy, which I think had everything to do with E.T., the movie, and just how fascinated I was with this space creature and his willingness to tinker and take things apart and put them together again, all in the hopes of getting back home, right? So that's one of my childhood toys. But the other ones, my Easy Bake, it was a Holly Hobby oven. Any of you out there bake with a light bulb? Okay. Now that I reflect back on it, baking with a light bulb, whose great idea was that? And is that still a thing? If you have kids and you know that's still a thing, please let me know. Are we just teaching our children to bake with a real oven? Wouldn't that be a cool thing? So that was one, baking with my Holly Hobby oven. The other was I had a sewing machine. I think it was like called a Sew Easy sewing machine. So it was like sewing with yarn, but it was like a little sewing machine, which I love so dearly. Or was anyone into making those bracelets, friendship bracelets? That was more of a middle school, high school thing. But the point is, I was always into art. And then there was my love for making books. So I used to write stories, illustrate them, put them together, bind them, sew them together, bind them, create covers with cardboard, click them together, and duct tape the spine. And I made a series of these. Once I learned how to do this in school, I was making them at home all the time. And that's what I did as a kid. And I continued to develop that through middle school. In high school, I took art classes and enjoyed them greatly, but I also was a nerd, glorified geek, lover of math, lover of science. Um, and when it came time to going to college and picking a major, I went the practical route and jumped into computer science because that was something I was introduced to in a program during high school. And I said goodbye to the art, um, but didn't really say goodbye. And that's the thing about the wayfinding was the art was always back here, even though the computer science was and engineering was the practical part that I was pursuing and um, as a degree. And I continued to pursue that degree over and over again. But when I was in college, I made sure that every semester, regardless of all the engineering and computer science courses I had to take as part of my major, I had an art class. I took painting, I did drawing, I did art history, anything that could keep my mind in that art frame of mind. But it wasn't easy to go against those outside voices telling me, hey, this is practical. Hey, you can make money this way. Hey, you need to make a good living. Art, who makes a living with art, right? And maybe there's something in your life that you're thinking, oh, yeah, I kind of pushed that down, put it to the side, didn't really want to continue pursuing it because of everything that my family or friends or society was telling me that I needed to be doing. But I'm here to tell you that you can be the designer of your life with a little wayfinding and willingness to not know what the end result is going to be, but more to enjoy the process and the journey and the pathway that you are on. The next thing that's really integral in designing your life is learning about the design thinking process. The design thinking process is a human-centered approach to problem solving. And that process is used primarily by tech companies, design firms to come up with the solutions to things that we all eat up every day. But you can apply those principles to your life. And when you apply them to your life, you are able to be present with where you are and step from the present moment into your future versus trying to meet a predefined notion of success or a predefined notion of what a goal is. And with design thinking, you are going to empathize with where you are in the moment, where you are in the present, and then figure out what is the problem you should be solving at this point in your life, this direct moment in your life. We're not going to go beyond. We're going to start from the moment so that you can enjoy the journey and enjoy the process along the way. And some things that design thinking, practicing design thinking, and building a design practice, an innovation practice, a creativity practice, what it brings you are some skills that are going to help you be a better wayfinder, be a better enjoyer of the journey. And I have these skills listed down here on this board that I keep in my office here. I'm going to put these up for you to see. So we have thinking creatively, practicing empathy, collaboration, being curious, embracing failure, taking risk, and a bias towards action. Yeah. Design thinking provides you the ability to have this bias towards action. That's what I love about it. You're always in action. You're finding new goals. You're framing problems in the present moment, which over time, if you practice these skills, the embracing failure, the taking the risk, the developing empathy for yourself and your where you are uniquely you. No one can solve a problem for yourself better than you can. And when you practice all these elements of design thinking, build empathy for yourself, get curious about your presence, what you need for your life, and have a bias towards action, you are designing your life. You are designing your life so that you move from the present as opposed to being frustrated, overwhelmed, stuck, panicked, anxiety ridden about the future. Design thinking is about designing your life is about staying in the present and overcoming those obstacles, those challenges, but one by one. You don't have to take them all on at once. You can overcome the challenges, the obstacles one by one. All right? So, design your life. You're ready, and I'm ready. I'm here to help you. As I am developing out the Innovation Doctor, I am building a community of collaborators. You saw that on that list, collaboration. You can't move forward. You can't design your life without a team, without being supported, without the accountability. And I want to make sure that you have that. And I am building community on Facebook. Look up the Innovation Sanctuary. You can get there at heyinnovationdoctor.com/bliss and join us there. I'm providing a space for you to practice creativity, practice innovation, practice recharging, practice being in community, and practice being designing your life does not have to be hard. Life doesn't have to be hard, nor should it be. And practicing innovation is one way we can do that. And I'll leave you with this story, the story about how designing my life has brought me to this place of teaching others about how they can do it for themselves. So I had been a teacher, an educator for 15 years. I was burnt out. I was tired. I was stressed. I was not feeling passionate about what I was doing. I felt like I was on someone else's clock doing their goals, their work, and I was fortunate enough to take a year off, a teacher gap year. And it was kind of serendipitous that at that same time, the local community college was building out a makerspace. And while I took that time off, working part-time a little bit, still in education, I spent time in this makerspace. I spent time talking to other people who were excited about making. I spent time taking classes, learning how to use the tools and materials. I spent time being in collaboration with others. I spent time recharging and feeling alive again because I was playing. I was being joyful and I was wondering. I was getting curious. All the things that my job had been stifling down, I was now able to do. This is the power of design. This is the power of taking and trusting your intuition and moving your life and propelling it forward. So with that, I would love you to go forward and think about, how can you bring more wayfinding into your life, meaning enjoying the journey and setting guideposts, but not things that are too far out there. But you can have your dreams and your possibilities, but know that you don't have to get there tomorrow. You can find the path and enjoy the journey, the windy road, the twists and turns, the sometimes when you have to roll yourself back down the mountain as you're climbing up the mountain. All that is a process to get to those far out there dreams and goals. And you can get there. You just have to trust the process and trust yourself in that process along the way. And design thinking is one way to do that. Practicing creativity is one way to do that. I'm looking down here to see what else. Taking risk is a big part about that. Exploring, smelling the roses along the way, recharging, rejuvenating, resting, playing, bringing that joy back into your life. That is all a part of designing your life. If that's what you want, I believe we all want that. We don't all want to be succumb to the grind culture that we are now all a part of. So I'm here for you to bring in that joy, that play, that creativity that you've been longing for, that you've been wanting to reconnect to. Join me in this process. And until next time, I hope to see you in the Innovation Sanctuary on Facebook. heyinnovationdoctor.com/bliss. Until next time, stay curious.